Time now to take a look at one of the major topics we're following up for you this week. That is the Cooperative Tribunal Week. Now, this week begins today. It was launched last week. It's basically meant to give those people with cases that should have fallen in the tribunals regarding cooperatives an opportunity to address them, especially those people with backlogs going to about 5 years. The CJ, in line with the transforming, the judiciary has decided that these cases must end. This is the reason why the tribunal, the Cooperative Tribunal, has set out and put this week especially for those people who really need to sort out their cases. So those people who have their cases pending before the tribunal, you have at least a week where you can go and address them. And even you who let their cases go, perhaps they will decide to strike them out, may not have an opportunity to resolve them. But let's talk to them and understand what's happening. In studio with me is Alex Kimanzi Ithuku. He's the chairperson of the Cooperative Tribunal, and Mary Mungai, who is a commissioner with the Cooperative Development. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for coming to studio to talk to us about this. Let's begin with you, Ithuku. What's the Cooperative Week about?
Thank you, Ken. The Cooperative Week, we are calling it a service week. Okay. In that, as you have stated, we have identified matters which are number to about 1,000. Matters which have been pending in our records. People filed them and almost forgot about them. And as you said, there is a directive, or there is the blueprint by the Chief Justice in the sustaining judiciary transformation, that all those matters that are 5 years and older should be dealt with by the end of this year. So towards that, we identified all those matters that are that old. We have given notices to the parties, and we've told them to come and just tell us that we are still interested, they are still interested in their matters, so that we can then give them dates for hearings. If they are not, or if they don't show up, then those matters will be dismissed. Okay. So that is, in a nutshell, that's what we are doing this week. All
right. Why is it necessary, apart from what you have clearly stated, that 5 years is that deadline, they have to be resolved 5 years and above? Why was it important to put it, especially at this point? Why didn't you decide probably to do it? Is it something that is mandatory? Do you have a deadline?
Not really. Okay. But as I've said, one, there is the blueprint. This is what we are doing now as an institution. Okay. As you know, tribunals, including the Cooperative Tribunal, have now transited to Judiciary. And therefore, there is what Judiciary is doing. And one of the things we want to do, and one of the reasons this tribunal was established, was to ensure that disputes are concluded expeditiously. And surely 5 years cannot be called expeditious disposal. So we want those matters to be dealt with one way or the other, either heard and finalized, or if parties are no longer interested in the matters, then we get them off our records. Okay.
I'd like to talk to you about what took them so long. You know, why is it that there's a lot of backlog? But first, let me speak to Mary. What's your role as a Cooperative Development? What's your role in the service week?
Thank you very much. My role is that I am responsible for the growth and development of cooperative societies. Okay. So I register cooperatives. And when you talk about cooperatives, cooperatives cut across a number of sectors in this economy. There are marketing cooperatives like the coffee, we have cotton, we have matatu cooperatives, transport cooperatives, Saccos. So Saccos is just one of them. So what I'm trying to say is that we register them. We have like now 22,000 registered cooperatives over
around the country.
Around the country, okay. Over 22,500 registered cooperatives. So you can imagine they will have issues between member and member, cooperative and cooperative, and member with cooperative.
Even cooperative with the bank. You know, I just understood the other day that all cooperatives must bank with a cooperative bank. So I just understood as a government regulation, you know, they must bank with the cooperative, but I cut you short.
Yes, thank you. So what we're trying to say, the importance of the tribunal in the cooperative growth and development is so key. Okay. So that they can help address those issues, because we have over 14 million members in the cooperative. Okay. So eventually there must be issues here and there, although we try and do alternative mechanism, but eventually they end up at the tribunal.
I'm a member of a cooperative society of the nation, Sacco. I believe it falls within your ambit. I'm just wondering, what are the highest number of disputes is between what groups? Individuals, cooperatives and cooperatives, cooperative and their banker? What is the highest?
I am sure you'll be in a very good position to say that, but yes. One of the main issues we are facing right now is between member and the cooperative.
Oh, member and
but also cooperative and cooperatives are there.
Okay.
So that's normally one of the key areas they have to haggle. But there's also a sizable number of between member and member.
A member. Ithuku, I'm very interested because in this, because we, the members of Saccos, I'm still trying to establish where these disputes come from before you answer the question of how long and why they have taken so long. We have disputes that have been running for 5 years, and I'm thinking at the top of my mind, perhaps we have millions of disputes, right? I'm just thinking from the top of my mind. But the disputes, how do they arise from membership?
Most of the disputes we're handling are actually, as you said, members against societies, okay, in form of refunds. Because what happens as a member, now that you're a member, is that you'll be making monthly or periodic contributions to your Sacco by way of savings. Okay. So you are entitled, if you want to terminate your membership, to a refund of the funds you've contributed. So we find that many societies are struggling with their refunding. So when that happens, those members come to us.
Okay.
So I would say a big bulk of our matters involve refunds. The second group is one of the functions of these societies is to enable their members to access loans. So you will find that some members will get loans and then default. So we also have a big number of defaulters. Sometimes it's the society that is coming to us to say that this person has defaulted. But most of the time, it's actually not the society. It's the guarantors, because you know the regime in the society is,
how it works.
The security is your guarantors.
Guarantors, yes.
So those guarantors come to us and say, we guaranteed this person, our shares were attached, and now
they refused to pay, yes, and now we can't get our money.
Now we want that.
I'll give you an example of what I know. Nation Sacco, for example, for you to withdraw, you need to give them 3 months notice. Yes. If that suffices and still they don't pay you, that's the point I come to the tribunal. And who do I sue in the tribunal?
Now, the society itself, okay, it's a corporate body that is capable of being sued. So once you give your notice, and these notices are governed by the bylaws, each society would say, if you're leaving, this is the notice you need to give, 90 days, 60 days, as agreed in the bylaws. So once that time lapses, then you come to us, you sue the society. The society
you sue the society. Okay, all right. So you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to add that, because normally it's supposed to be they first come to the commissioner before they go to the tribunal.
Okay, they
ordinarily
come to you first.
Yeah, because you're talking about alternate.
So you act as a tribunal, sort of.
For settling matters at that level before we go very legal. Okay. So why we are saying it is so important for cooperatives to comply with the law is that before we get to the issue of refund, it means then the cooperative, whatever form of cooperative, is not operating as it's supposed to do. And so we require, as the Commissioner's Office, to get audited accounts every year, so that in those audited accounts that have been done by the certified auditor, it shows whether they are in problems, whether they're in liquidity issues. So when they come, they first get that scenario of 60 days. If they are not paid, their money is not refunded, they come to us. We try and mediate between them and the cooperative. If then it fails, is when the member...
Are you the ones who refer them to tell them go to the tribunal?
Yeah, because now if we try and solve the issues at that level and it's not working, then now we move it to the...
And the bylaws state that the first point of contact is the commission?
It should be the commission.
Is it stated in the bylaws?
It is. It might not be stated, but that is the first point of call, because when you go to the tribunal now, you're getting into another area where you might require lawyers and all that.
And they summon you, for example, to talk about what was presented before the commission first? Or they just move to the tribunal?
Move. They just move. And that's why some people are going directly, and that's why they're having many issues.
It's a lot. Oh, all right. So if they came to the commission first, and perhaps the matters will be sorted before they get there, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's get there. And the question then is, how comes you have a backlog 5 years and beyond? How comes? What is the reason? You are understaffed? What's the reason why there's a backlog?
I would say several reasons. Okay. Because what happens, especially when we are going through these records, you will find, for reasons now that are not on record, that a party came, filed a matter, and when we issued them with summons to go and serve, they have not come back. Others came, the matter is defended, they took dates on the first day. When the matter was adjourned, they have not come back. And we know that, especially considering what she has just said, the dispute resolution mechanism involves even the office of the commissioner. So that there are parties who will come to us. And after a short while, they realize, actually, this is a dispute that we can solve at the commissioner's office, or even between amongst themselves, because even the management committee is mandated to also resolve some of those disputes. So what we have realized, because the service week started today, yes, and there are matters we have mentioned, and parties have told us, actually, this matter is long settled.
No, we settled. We didn't just come back to you.
Yeah, we went back to our society and resolved, but they did not remember to come and tell us
to you. Yes,
that the matter is no longer alive. We are no longer interested.
Maybe they use you to intimidate the Saccos or the cooperatives to get a settlement.
Well, if it serves the purpose,
then that's okay. All right. Okay, that's one reason. You said there are several. Yes,
that's one reason.
Yes.
The other reason is that okay, sometimes matters are filed. You will find that parties have hired advocates. They're supposed to proceed with the matters, but we don't know, because after that, then you don't get any further communication from them, because normally in our system, it is for the parties to fix their matter for hearing. Okay. So when there is that lethargy on the part of especially the claimant, the party who came to us, we will only, get to them through this kind of process, where we are now serving them with a notice and telling them, this matter has been pending here for too long.
For a long time, yes.
Just tell us what is happening before we have it dismissed.
So I'm thinking from the top of my mind again, you're really hoping to strike out a lot of those cases, right?
Well, it may happen, but you see, if a matter has been pending, because I can tell you that when we were doing looking at our inventory and our records, what we realized is that the oldest matter, there is a matter from 1998, actually when the tribunal started.
That's 20 years.
Yes. Okay. That matter was filed, those parties disappeared.
Okay.
So we are saying we don't want to be in a position where, if you look at the records of the tribunal, it looks like there's a big backlog. But what is happening is actually that these are dormant matters where parties are not interested for the variety of reasons I've given. So if it happens that matters were settled, let's clean the records and have those matters which are live, proceed with them.
Perhaps I should have asked, how many disputes do you have currently? 5 years and above, now that you've mentioned a 20-year-old case. How many disputes do you have across the country?
Now, the disputes that, looking at the record, what has been filed since the tribunal started to date, slightly over 9,000. Okay. But what is pending, the matters that you can say now, these ones are pending hearing, slightly over 3,000. Okay. So if you say 1,000 are 5 years and old and without any action being taken on them, you would say the active matters are around 2,000.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's your target. It gives me the impression, Commissioner, that there's not too much disputes out there. Listening to those figures and looking at the 22 million and the 14 million. 14 million. Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking they're not so much.
They're quite a number, because I'm sure they're also handled through other mechanisms. Okay. But what ends up at the tribunal could be not that, it doesn't have that much impetus. What I'm trying to say is that maybe some of the reasons that the cases have been pending for so long is that occasionally, because of compliance with the law, we require that every society or registered cooperative that is not meeting its objectives, we deregister. Okay. If the numbers, which is normally the mandatory number of people that come together to form a cooperative, is 10, if it falls below 10, we deregister. If they have not filed their audited accounts in 3 years, we deregister. So it could be the case that we have actually put, and there was a circular, and we have deregistered over 200, and the number is counting, because not the 22,000 are active. So it could also be the reason why they have that backlog of 3,000.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm just thinking again, from what you're telling me about the numbers and the requirements, could this also be the reason why the cooperative societies are reluctant to sort them out, in that they know they haven't complied? If they come to the commission, your first point of call is to check their compliance. Yes. So if they know they've not complied, complied, they're also reluctant to begin this processes. Yes.
I wouldn't think so. But the issue here is a cooperative society is a group of people that have come together under a given act. And when they are registering themselves, it is very clear in the law, in their bylaws, on what is expected of them. Okay. So it's not like they don't come knowing what is expected of them.
It doesn't mean they also comply with the law.
If they're not complying, then we honestly have to do, because we are trying to protect the bigger group of members. Okay. Because normally the people who are supposed to be ensuring compliance or driving the compliance issues, the management committee and the staff. Okay. But the supreme organ is the AGM. If the AGM, that is the general membership, if the AGM knows they are not complying, then they will react and ensure the management committee is either removed from office or something like that. The general membership, I think, on issues of compliance, they are clear because it is the safety of their assets in that particular.
Now that you talk about that, last week there was a Gazette notice, a page of the Gazette notice, showing that one of the Saccos that was, I think it's premised on buying property, was deregistered. You said you've deregistered 200 and the numbers continue to rise. Yes. This is one of the big concerns about of many people, why the Sacco societies are being deregistered in that manner, and why there is so much a level of non-compliance in this circle.
One that I can say is that we have deregistered over 200. And
for
many more
a period of how long?
For a period of like 4 months.
4 months, 200.
4 months. And this information is not coming from the headquarters. It's actually coming from the county regions. Because we interact with them, we collaborate very well. We ask them which cooperatives are not complying with the law, and they forward the names to us. Okay. So that exercise is going to go on, because honestly, 22,000 is quite a number, and we haven't cleaned our register in the recent past. Coming back to what you have asked, there's something I want to mention, in that Saccos, because everybody thinks Saccos and cooperatives is one and the same name, but I have said there are many different types of cooperatives. Yes. But Sacco is one of the fast growing sector. I think we have almost now 14,300 registered Saccos. And this is a financial inclusion. And the cooperative model is the best for financial inclusion. When you join a Sacco, there are objectives. And a Sacco means savings and credit. So you're putting your money there, so that over time you can enjoy the credit from that, or get a loan from the facility or the cooperative that you are in. So once that is not met, once the Sacco is not meeting its objectives of saving and giving loans, then it is no longer in that particular activity. We say it's not meeting its objective. The issue here is that a Sacco is the best model, because most Saccos will give you a 12% interest rate, but the effective interest rate over time is 6 to 7%. Okay. That's the loan the interest you'll be getting. So our issue here is to encourage that when Saccos are found, meet your objectives. It is for me to bring my money, get my loan. If I want to buy a property, let me get the loan, get the guarantorship, and go and buy my property. But not for the Sacco to I put my money, and then they're the ones buying me the property without my property.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think that's the practice now. You put your money and they buy, and
that's the wrong. We need to change that objective. And we say in this act, it actually allows you, if you want to do investment as a group, you want to save and do investment, like we have housing cooperatives. That is allowed. All you do is come and amend your bylaws, and we'll amend them. Okay. But don't purport to be a Sacco and do
what you shouldn't do. Yeah. You want to add something?
Well, I think it's very well covered, because one of the problems that on the matters that also come to us is that although the Office of the Commissioner for Cooperatives has given guidelines on what people need to do, we are having, especially on these old cooperatives, because there are many cooperatives that started as either produce marketing, they were doing coffee. And then at some point they realized that, they can also invest in real estate. So you will find some of those societies, instead of now doing what she's saying, getting a proper vehicle for investing in real estate, they mix up those issues. And then members start complaining that our coffee proceeds are supposed to be coming to us. We are not seeing the value in the land. And also the problem also comes in when they start now either disposing that land or some of those things. You start wondering what is the share of each member, depending on what they gave in terms of coffee proceeds. So I think the directives they are giving are really helping, although some of those societies are not following up. And it brings problems that then come to us as disputes, because members cannot now identify what is supposed to be in the real estate and what is supposed to be for the cooperative they formed, they joined, the one for marketing, produce and marketing of coffee or tea or whatever it is they started with.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you receive complaints from individual members complaining against their Sacco, for example, for non-compliance? Because there are people who are out there and they're really interested in the matters of their Sacco. Do you get such complaints also?
I think that's a very important issue you brought on board, because when a cooperative is formed, it's for the members. And they're the first people who should be telling us we think we are not complying. But unfortunately,
it never happens.
It doesn't happen, either because they don't know what compliance is all about or something, but it never happens. It waits until things are deteriorating, and then that's when they start now bringing, because they bring complaints, but yes, it comes in too late. What I'm trying to advise is that a cooperative belongs to you. You are the supreme organ. If you start hearing a cooperative being identified by an individual, and yet you are a member and you are many members, but now it becomes so-and-so's cooperative, there is danger.
Okay.
And that's where we are saying they should help us with dealing with some of these things as soon as possible.
All right. I'd like to talk more about this. I'd like to talk more about, you mentioned something that now the tribunal is moving to the judiciary.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
What I meant is that when we passed our constitution, the one we have now, Article 169 now provides that, or defines subordinate courts as including magistrates' courts and tribunals. So that all those tribunals that were already in existence are now part of the judiciary as subordinate courts.
Okay.
You will notice that the Cooperative Tribunal has been in existence for quite a while. So what has happened is that now, in compliance with the Constitution, the JSC, that is Judicial Service Commission, has established a secretariat and a registrar, currently Anne Asuga, who is now mandated with coordinating the transition from the tribunals, from their parent ministries. For instance, this cooperative was always managed under the ministry that was in charge of cooperatives. Currently is the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Cooperatives. So that now there is a transition from the ministry to the judiciary. And that is where now the policies that are now in judiciary are coming in, so that now we can streamline our operations.
Okay. And welcome back to NTV Today. My name is Ken Mijungu. With me in studio is Alex Kimanzi Ithuku, the chairperson, Cooperative Tribunal, and Mary Mungai, who is a commissioner with Cooperative Development. We are talking issues cooperative. This is the service week where they expect about 2,000 cases that are still pending, more than 5 years old. The oldest case, perhaps, when the Cooperative Tribunal was established back in 1998, 20 years to be resolved. Now, if you don't turn up, if you don't give them a go-ahead to look at your case, they might as well dismiss it. But now the concern is that perhaps you have solved your case outside there and you did not have the time and the courtesy to go and tell them, you know, we resolved it, so please list this from your list. And of course, we're talking about issues, the cooperatives. What do you, as a member of a cooperative society, expect from your cooperative? We'll be talking about that. But first, let's talk about the service week. And I'll speak to Ithuku here about the service week. Now, the service week is currently ongoing in Nairobi. It began today. Where is it?
We sit at Reinsurance Plaza.
Okay.
Our court, the open court, is on 11th floor. So that is where we are having this service week. Matters are being mentioned, and parties who come the parties who are attending their matters are addressed. You be asked whether you are still interested in the matter, and on giving your presentation, then we decide whether this is a matter that should still be on our records, and then we give a date. Once we decide that the matter should proceed, we are giving a date immediately, because our aim is these matters that are 5 years and older, we should not skip this year, that is 2018 with them. So we are giving them priority. We'll give them a date immediately for parties who come, give them a dates on the spot, and then we'll proceed with the hearing. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So when you say they are coming to the tribunal,
yes.
My question then would be, is this the same people, the same tribunal that has been sitting in most of these cases? Because I'm looking at the court process and I'm looking at the several cases all over the country. So I'm wondering if their disputes arise from different parts of the country. How comes you reverse to what's happening? Are you the only organ that has been sitting on most of these cases, the tribunal?
Yeah, what you notice under the law is that the Cooperative Tribunal has exclusive jurisdiction on matters cooperative. So we are the only one who hear them. This tribunal consists of 7 members, and the quorum for sitting is 3 with the chair.
The chair must be present.
The chair and a deputy. We have a deputy chair.
Okay.
So we can, because we have 7 members, it means that logically we can form 2 panels.
Okay.
One with the chair presiding, the other one with the deputy, so long as you are 3 members. We sit here mainly in Nairobi, but we also do circuit sittings. We, every year, every financial year, we do a gazette, a schedule of sittings that are gazetted. You know, the problem is that maybe the Kenya Gazette does not circulate that
to everyone, so they wouldn't know, yes.
But it's there, and we also try to do some outreach programs so that we can tell people that we'll be coming to your town on this date.
Throughout media?
Through media, we attend these SK shows and several other forums.
Okay.
We also do meetings with the leadership of the cooperatives across the country.
Okay.
To let them know that we are sitting in their towns. We do sittings in Kisumu.
I'd like to talk about that next, about the circuit setting, but let me bring Mary. Mary, what's your role on the city? Do you have a representative from the commission who sits at the tribunal?
One of the board members of the tribunal is a person experienced in cooperative matters.
Okay.
In actual fact, right now, I think we have 2 with good experience sitting on the board. So
yes.
they help the tribunal, the judiciary, to synthesize the issues cooperative.
Now that you mentioned and said that you're the first point, you should be the first point of contact.
Yes.
Do you have a role when they're sitting as the commission? Do you have a role?
When they're sitting?
Yes.
Of course, if we have issues that are emanating from various counties, because they have benches, I think you mentioned about that. They have benches all over the country.
Yes.
We can tell them in this particular area, please factor them in your agenda so that you handle these issues. We also have a role because we have a liaison officer who actually gets information from both sides and passes it on so that we are in sync with what they are doing. And when we have topical issues that are coming up, we actually ask for a discussion table so that we can agree on some issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The issue of refund, like he said, is something that is really now becoming a problem for the whole fraternity of cooperative. In some areas, not all.
It is. Sometimes I think it's unfair, being a member of a Sacco now, part of the cooperative, I think it's unfair when you ask for your refund and you have to wait for such a long period of time before you get it. So it's an issue. But so long as it's entrenched in your bylaws, in your laws, you have nothing to do with it.
Sure.
You come, I show you my Sacco will say it's 3 months, it's 3 months.
And it's 3 months.
Period. All right, let's talk about the circuit setting.
Yes.
Nairobi is where you sit mostly, but you go to different counties, and this is region represented, not necessarily county represented, because you can't be everywhere.
Yes.
But you have benches all over the country.
What we do is we move to those regions.
Okay.
Because I've said we...
Give us the regions that you majorly sit.
We do Kisumu,
okay,
that is Kakamega, and Eldoret. And what we've done, for purposes of efficiency, we have taken the western region. The western region will then be Eldoret, Kisumu, and Kakamega. as one region.
Okay.
So that if we are in Kisumu, like we were in Kisumu this month, we were in Kisumu. So that matters that are in Kisumu, if they are adjourned or for whatever reason they don't proceed, then we give them a date in Kakamega, which will be now a nearer date. If they are not heard again, we give them a date in Eldoret. Yes. So that's one region. We also have a region which can be called Mount Kenya region that covers Nyeri, Embu, and Meru. So that we also go to those places. Next month, April, we are in Nyeri. So that those matters that will be coming up in Nyeri, if they are not finalized or some of them don't take off, we'll give them a date in Embu or Meru, whichever is nearer. So that way, people of Nyeri don't have to wait maybe for a whole year for people to go, for us to go there once or maybe twice. So then we have the coastal region, we have Mombasa. Okay,
how long, what is the average time for settling a dispute coming to the tribunal?
You know, like the bulk of our matters, I'd said, are refunds. When you look at the nature of a claim that is refund, it's usually a very simple one. Because this person will just be saying, I've been a member, I contributed this much, I've left. And in most of those cases, the society will not really be having a serious defense. Most of the time when they come, they will tell us that our problem is not that, we are not saying this was not our member, we are not saying it did not contribute, we have some liquidity issues. So can you give us time to pay? So that those are not matters you would say that would take much time. Once it's filed, because we'll be talking about, there is the procedure of filing and serving, which can take, there is 15 days for serving, maybe 30 days, maybe a month, then it will be ready for hearing. Once it's ready for hearing and we give a date, and we are giving dates in a month's time, at most 2 months, so that today, if today is April or March, dates are available latest May. So that when you come on that day, that matter, if both parties come, or the person who files come, it's supposed to be finalized on that day. But because of the other reasons I told you that people sometimes don't come,
yes.
You find a matter that is taking 3 months, up to 6 months. There are these matters we are trying to now sort out that have been there for 5 years for those other reasons. But when parties are ready, these matters don't take much time. A month or 2 months should be done.
Yes. Now that you are a quasi-judicial body, do these matters also attract sanctions?
Sanctions?
Yeah, punishments?
No, not really.
So if I don't attend...
It's a civil jurisdiction. So what we'll be doing is, of course...
Even civil attract fines.
So that there will be interest. I mean, if a society has stayed with your money for all this time, when they should have refunded, they will pay with interest.
Oh, you determine what interest?
Yes, we will levy. They'll pay with interest. There's also the issue of costs. They should have, it's your right, they should have refunded your money. So that when now the money, they come to you and we finally find that they should have paid, then there's that issue of the costs. Although as a tribunal, we are supposed to, you know, build these societies, protect members, but also ensure that these societies you know, are not saddled with so much cost. So sometimes it worries us when the management occasions a society to pay cost, because we will remember that these costs will be paid out of a member's funds. It's not the management that will pay from their pockets. So we also try, and also working with our office, to tell members, to tell especially the management, and to avoid this kind of protracted hearings or disputes. That's why even as we sit as a tribunal, we try to encourage alternative dispute resolution, mediation, and things like that.
Now that you talk about members and in collaboration with our office, let's jump and talk about the expectation of the members now from their society. Is it clear-cut? Because I don't remember when I registered for my Sacco society, I don't remember them taking me through what they expect of me as a member, save for my monthly contribution. You only learn about a lot of other things when you are in a situation. For example, when I wanted my refund, that's when I learned that I need 3 months. So what do I expect?
I think that's a very important question. Because we are saying when you're coming together to form a cooperative, it's because you have identified a common need. And so you come and sit together and agree on the deliverables of that. after I have registered, because there's the bylaws issue, these bylaws, before they are brought to our office, the county commissioners in various counties for cooperatives take the members through the expectation of a cooperative. And one of the critical things that cooperative is different from others is that we follow the 7 principles of cooperative, which means, and I want maybe just to say, which means that to enter into a cooperative, you are free. It is on voluntary and open membership. It's like we don't have an end, this is the deadline, or an end person. It is open. It is inclusive. We are also saying it's democratic member control. Even if I have 10,000 in a given Sacco and you have 500, when it comes to voting, each member, one vote. Then economic participation. You do not enter into that cooperative society and you are not participating in the objective. Then, of course, there is autonomy, and then other thing is important is education, training, and information. This is where I think we are having a problem, and that's why I wanted to answer you, in the sense that when you become a member, once you register, you're supposed to be given a copy of the bylaws to go and study. And I want to say, if you study the bylaws and you see maybe there are issues that are not well put, it behoves you to interact with the management, propose the issues where you can amend the bylaws, and it is allowed in law for us to amend, so long as it is going to affect. And I would just want to say one example is that if a member of the board wants to become a politician, once he's nominated, then he shouldn't be in the board anymore. So make sure you have those bylaws that are tight, so that you do not spoil, because we have very big Saccos here, multi-billionaires Saccos, and we want to ensure that they grow from one strength to the other. So the issue of bylaws is your Bible. You should be looking at it and seeing the issues, because if you don't look at that, then you'll be taken for a ride. Again, the other thing that I want to say is that the supreme organ is the general membership. Ensure that if today you are registered, if you get your first certificate, in 1 month, you should do an election. And in some of the election, that day, you are going to do election of the leaders that will be taking you through. You are going to appoint your auditors, your bankers, to ensure that you do business properly. Okay. But after 1 year, it is expected of you every year to be filing returns with the commissioner. Please, members, ensure that your members, your management committee, do that. They must be filed, and you must hold an AGM. The other thing is that your leaders, the management, must put wealth declaration to the commissioner, as well as indemnity forms. We are trying to put structures that will help the Sacco. All
right, and that creates the impression, you know, when I listen to you, sometimes you mention border a Sacco that is just forming, but I'm coming into a Sacco that has been there for a while, and I'm not likely to influence any kind of change. I'm not likely to bring in anything constructive that has not been discussed probably in the lifetime of that Sacco. So how do you handle it as a member, as a new member to an existing Sacco? Because you're mirroring a Sacco that we're coming together, 10 people and above, and we are forming it. So we have to do all this thing. We have a checklist. But now I'm coming into a Sacco that is probably 10, 15 years old. Yes.
As I said, you're coming here because of interest that you have in that Sacco.
Yes.
So it behoves you to look through the bylaws. But also the Sacco is mandated to hold education forums for the members, so that those issues that you think you want to bring on board, the issues that are not clear to you, you can actually, they can be addressed in those kind of forums. Okay,
all right. And when this does not happen, this is the time that I come before you now, right?
Yes.
Yes. And when I come before you, now you said the person who has lockers here is the Sacco, and myself, the complainant. Now, how do I come and sue my Sacco before you? How do I come? What is the process of coming before you?
When this tribunal was being formed, because you realize that before 98, these disputes were there, and people used to go to our ordinary courts. One of the issues that we wanted to address was the issue of technicality and complicated court processes. So in our tribunal, you can actually write even a letter.
Okay.
We are as informal as possible. There is something which most people do, They file a form called a statement of claim.
Is it a standard form?
More or less.
Okay.
But we say you don't even have to have that structured form that says my prayers are this and that. Just indicate your name. Indicate the person you are suing. In a way that is understandable, explain why, what you want. Because what we do is, if you come to our registry, actually without even anything written, you can explain yourself to our registry staff, and from what you will say, that can be reduced to a claim. Because these are people, our staff are people who are experienced, they have seen all these things. So from the way, after talking to them, they will know this one wants a refund. Mm-hmm. This one guaranteed someone who ran away. This one wanted to be elected in a board, but was locked out in a manner that is illegal. So they will reduce that to a claim. You will file it. Our fees are also minimal. So once you file, and then you will be directed to serve the party. If it's a Sacco, you are suing your own society, serve them.
Okay.
And then they will come with their response.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is fairly a process that can be done by anyone? Anyone.
In fact, we insist on simplicity. We want to be as simple as possible. We also are affordable, so that anyone who walks in, so long as, you know, there are many societies where the membership is from the village. Maybe these are people who are just farmers. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to burden them with many technicalities. In fact, especially for those things we are talking about, refunds. For most of the time, it will not be necessary to have expensive legal counsel and assistance. It's your right. If you feel you can afford, go for it. But walk into our registry with your claim, and it will be filed. People will understand what you want, it will be filed.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and you don't need an advocate for this, because another thing that a lot of people are thinking of right now is you have said, if I can afford an advocate, then I can. If I don't have to afford and I can't afford, I can just come myself. Yes. But the issues of understanding of the issues at stake, because I believe the things you will invoke is the bylaws, the MOUs there. Did you understand what your Sacco stands for, what they're doing? And sometimes those things are very technical to understand. Yes. For example, was this component available for my Sacco? Were they supposed just to be receiving money and dispatching credit? Can they invest for us? All those things are technical.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm trying to get advocates out of work, eh? But what I'm saying is this, that legal representation is a right. It's something that if you can afford, come with advocates. But then look at it this way. This is a member who contributed 50,000 through check-off system. So she has a payslip which shows what she has contributed to date. And she has a letter which she wrote to her Sacco saying, I'm no longer interested. I want to terminate my membership. So she has complied with the bylaws. So that's all we're asking. Come and tell us what you want. So if you come with those documents, maybe there's another document saying that you are a member, showing that you are a member. And in most of these societies, as I've said, membership is not denied. So
it's even difficult to deny membership for someone who's been doing contributions.
Yes, yes. So just come with those documents. And I've also stated that you will find that in most of these societies, even when they come to defend that claim, they will not be raising, for most part, those technical issues. Maybe they will just be saying, look, our money is tied up in this and that. We had a very inefficient or incompetent management team a few years ago that mismanaged us. So now we are not as liquid as we ought to be. So they'll be asking us, can you allow us to pay this member of ours by installments? So you find that the discussion at that level is not even whether they are liable or not. Is how are they going to pay? Okay. And that's a discussion we can hold.
But Mary, would you allow Saccos to operate if they're not liquid, really? Would you allow them if they have a bad management? Because that's an admission of liability prima facie. Would you allow them to operate?
Thank you. I want to mention this. We have two types of Saccos these days. Mm-hmm. There's one Sacco we call deposit-taking Saccos that are actually offering quasi-banking services it means their doors are open. And I want to ask members, if you see a Sacco that has opened their doors, first point of call is, are they licensed under Sacco Societies Regulatory Authority? Are they licensed? Because there are those that are opening doors and they are not licensed. And as I said, we have too many and they're all over. We can't possibly keep track. So if you walk into a FOSA or a deposit-taking Sacco that has opened its doors, you can go deposit money and then a day or 2 hours later come and withdraw. That's the one we are calling deposit-taking business. If they do not have a license, please notify the nearest county commissioner for cooperatives or call us at the headquarters, because that is operating outside law. So these ones that have opened their doors to the public are under that act, and there are those ratios that must be met to ensure that they offer the appropriate services and that the members' funds are very well protected. Then we have what we call the BOSA. These ones are the back office activities, where mostly that's how we started as employer-based SACCOs, where every month there's a check-off, it goes there, or every month I put money, and then after 6 months or whatever months, I get my loan and get it. These ones are directly under the commissioner for now, until we build the capacity of SASRA, and we are also putting prudential guidelines for them. So it's not like they're operating in the dark. And that's why we are saying audited accounts are critical, because that tells us on a flash that this Sacco is
compliant or not. All right. As we wind up, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like now to go back to what principally you are doing this week. You ran from Monday to Friday right here in Nairobi. After this, is that the end of it?
Actually, what we've done, I had said that we have identified about 1,000 files. This week, we are handling just slightly over 200. So there is a schedule. What we are going to do is that we are going to give notices, fresh notices in regard to the other matters. We'll be having this in March, May, July. The last batch will be dealt with in September. So now by September we'll have covered the 1,000 matters that are pending. Yes.
Okay.
So
and they'll still happen in Nairobi. The service week will already be devolved.
Now the mentioning and the service week will be here. We'll be in Nairobi.
We'll be here in those months.
Yeah, we'll be here in those months. We are flexible, because what we want to do is that we won't want someone who is in Kisumu and they have a matter here. Not that we've really done some publicity. If they are aware that their matters are being dismissed, of course they have been served with a notice.
Okay.
They can just send someone who will come and tell us, I know about this matter, I am involved, and I'm ready, I'm still willing to proceed. What we'll do is we'll give it a date now in Kisumu, where those people are, so that now we can proceed with the hearing there.
All right.
Yes.
So the circuit, when does it begin in the year? At the beginning of the year, quarterly, by monthly, when does it begin?
It goes with the financial year, which starts from July. So what we do is that every month, for 1 week, we are out there. So
every month?
Yes. For 3 weeks, we sit here in Nairobi. And most of the work is here, actually, in Nairobi. But for that 1 week, in every month, we are out there in one of those stations.
Okay. And that's already gazetted?
It is.
How do we then come to know when you're sitting where?
One, as I've said, it's gazetted. That's supposed to be...
Which is difficult to find. It's difficult to find.
Yes, that's admitted. Now, two, as I've said, we also do quite big publicity ventures. We are working together, as you know, the cooperative function is devolved. So as we work with the commissioner here, we are also working with the governors in the counties.
Okay.
Because they also have their cooperative, people managing cooperatives at that level. So when we go, like when we visit Kisumu, apart from doing the sittings, we also do some meetings with those leaders there, the people managing cooperatives. They have a copy of our schedule. Okay. So they know. And because one of the, Mary has said, one of the functions of the societies, the management itself, and also the cooperative officers is educate. So it is expected that as they go around, they also be telling people that there are these services offered by the tribunal, and the tribunal will be sitting in our region on these dates.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we have 2 minutes on the clock, and I'd like to give you the final remarks regarding the service week. I'll begin with the lady. Mary, as the service week progresses, perhaps also briefly just talk to us about the cooperative development, just briefly your role in everything aside from just being involved with the cooperative tribunal. Let's talk to us generally, and then your parting shot, then Kimanzi will close for us.
As I said, we are in charge of cooperative development and growth. We have actually developed a national cooperative development policy, which I think in the next course of 1 month or 2 months, it shall be presented to Cabinet for approval. And in that document, we have actually identified clear roles for national government and for county government. Okay. And some of the things that we have identified, and that's why I want to mention them here, is so that we have harmony. We even have proposed a working framework between the county and national government, because growth for members is growth for the country. So the other thing I want to mention is that once a cooperative is registered, if it doesn't comply with the objectives, if the number falls below 10, if it doesn't file its audited account, if it doesn't meet its objectives, or on inspection we find out there's something wrong, then the national government issues a cancellation. And by the time we issue a cancellation, we have given notice of intention, and then that. So we follow a due process. Having said that, is to tell members of the public, do not over-delegate your role. Take active participation about the cooperative society you are engaged, so that we lessen the issues going to the tribunal. As you said, 3,000 is not too high, but we even want to lessen it, because cooperative is supposed to be cooperating among one another and ensuring a conducive environment where we are going to grow both economically and empower one another, because the tool of cooperative is for inclusivity. Thank you.
All right. Kimanzi.
Thank you. As we embark on this service week, what we've already said is that we'll be happy if all those who have filed claims with us can pursue them. Because what you'll notice from the kind of matters that come to us, these refunds, surcharges, and whether it's guarantors, we are talking about members' money and funds. And if dispute resolution can be expedited, can be simple, it means we are able to help these members achieve the objective which took them to the society, because most members will join cooperative societies to uplift their welfare. And if money is tied up in the dispute resolution process, then we are not helping these societies.
Okay.
So what we are achieving by this service week, and what we also want to be doing going forward, that is expeditious disposal of cases, is to help all these societies in achieving the primary purpose, which is to uplift their economic welfare. And that is why they came together. So we don't want a situation where members will be saying that we are not moving because so much of our money is tied up there with the cooperative tribunal. I also want to encourage members of these societies to also explore these alternative dispute mechanisms. Let them try as much as possible to resolve many of these disputes within the society, because there are mechanisms there. Let them also utilize the services offered by the Commissioner for Cooperative Development. And even when they come to us, we want also to assure them that we will, as much as possible, try to resolve these matters in the shortest time possible, and not engage them in technicalities. People should not fear, when they are told that they have been taken to court, they just say that will never end. We are assuring them that matters will be resolved in the shortest time possible.
All right. A good place to end. And above all, I think one of the most important thing is for membership to understand their cooperative by being familiar with the document that establishes it. Thank you very much, Mary Mungai, the Commissioner of the Cooperative Development, and Alex Kimanzi Ithuku, the Chairperson of the Cooperative Tribunal. And of course, thank you for coming and sharing with us. And looking forward, we still have a lot of time. We have 4 days to go, so you can visit them. You said that is a reinsurance building?
Yeah, 11th floor.
11th floor of the reinsurance building for your matter to be sorted out.